All right, ladies and gentlemen, today is part one of the Deatschwerks 300c in-tank fuel pump upgrade. Now this fuel pump from Deatschwerks supposed to flow a little bit more fuel than obviously the stock pump. It's about the biggest pump that you can get on the market that's a drop-in solution. I have some more plans for my fuel system in my particular application, but this will get you by without anything too crazy. And it is a drop-in plug-and-play solution. Well, for the most part, plug-and-play. But I'm going to walk you through some of the process because I've got a brand new, I haven't taken apart the fuel tank or fuel pump assembly in my vehicle yet. What I did is I went to the junkyard, paid 20 bucks to the guy behind the counter, and he gave me an old one that I experimented with before I got to what I'm gonna do is I bought a new one. This is brand new from Ford. Actually I bought it at Rock Auto. It's about the cheapest place you can find it, for about 140 bucks. Because you're gonna have to reuse a couple parts. I was actually gonna use this initially, but then the fuel filter doesn't look all that great. So for another 140 bucks, I figured let me just go with brand new stuff. Because once you stick it in the tank, it's kind of a pain in the butt to get to. But anyway, this Deatschwerks 300c fuel pump. It's basically plug and play, but there's some changes you're gonna have to make to the existing fuel hanger. Now this is about as a plug and play as you're gonna get with our platform. Anything bigger than this, you're going with like surge tank or full-on custom application. All right, but first thing I'm going to do is I'm gonna start taking this stuff apart. So we're just gonna start removing some of these clips and wiring. I may take some breaks. This one, you may see the video stop from time to time. And do that. Okay. By the way, these are some of the tools you may or may not need. Removing the fuel level switch. Okay, that's that end. This one is going to, there's a clip right here. Bring that in. You slide it up. It's kind of a pain in the butt to do. One second. There you go. Clips up, and then it comes straight out. Boom. That's disconnected. All right. Then I'm going to disconnect the actual pump itself. Now this wiring harness, you're not going to be reusing. And I will explain later. Right. Okay. This is the grounding strap. You kind of have to push this thing down here and push it out. Boom. That's disconnected. All right. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove. Now this is, it's not going to all completely come apart. You're going to have stuff dangling. Actually, because I don't like to have some scraping on that. All right. So you see down here, the C-clip right down there. Pick your tool to remove it. Don't lose it. This thing is tiny, or to break it. Luckily I have another fuel pump over there to, if I needed to. Boom. Get yourself an area where you can throw all the parts in. I usually have these parts trays laying around. All right, then you're going to remove the hat. actually. That's not gonna, you have to, all right. Remove this thing. Now, this is a piece of plumber's tape. This stuff comes in really handy to remove tabs and clips. This came in, it was indispensable when I took the front grille apart. You just cut these to length and buy a strip of plumber's tape, cut them to little chunks and just wedge them underneath these things. Hold them. Okay, boom, right there, and then there's a third one right here. That it's a little bit different setup. Just boom, there we go. Yeah. All right. It's kind of a pain in the butt. Sure, you could take it apart even further, but we won't. So, okay. Remove this spring for now. Put that there. Put that there. All right. This is a brand new filter. So we're gonna have to remove the bottom portion of this, and this is the pressure relief valve right here. This is the Ford Explorer uses pulse width modulation to regulate fuel pressure, basically sending breaking the ground to modulate this pump to maintain fuel pressure, and it's not using your traditional fuel pressure regulator that you guys might be familiar with. Anything over pressure actually comes out this pressure relief valve back down into the fuel bucket. Okay, actually, this is going to be a pain in the butt because there's a couple different places you have to wedge these under. All right. Apparently the battery ran dead on the camera, but you didn't miss much anyway. I was kind of having a hard time getting this thing off. I'm sure when I go back and watch the video, I'll see exactly where it dropped, but I'm not really sure what you guys missed. But I'm having a little hard time. This is, like I said, the I do not want to break these tabs. Promise you it'll be a bit easier past this. Promise you, I swear to you. How did I do it in the last one? I don't remember it giving me such a hard time. I don't remember you're giving me such a hard time. Sorry if you can't see some of this stuff, ladies and gentlemen. It all makes sense in a little bit. Aha! Success. Sorry, just double checking the camera. Alright. Get it out. Alrighty. So, first thing first. This is the old wire harness. This is gonna be trash. Here is the old pump. Now, this is brand new. It's still good, but let's compare the two. These covers. So, what you want to do is the level right here, and that right there is what's. So, all right. So what we're going to do is get rid of that. This we're going to reuse. It goes right here. It's got like a little bit of a nipple on it. Just got to push it past it. And in this kit you get from Deatschwerks, you get 2 of these O-rings. Instruction says to use 1 or 2. I'm going to use 2. All right. Boom. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Put this back away. This is what comes with the Deatschwerks sock and filter. Now, this goes on some other vehicles. Sorry, I'd already cut this, but this came here like this. This, you can't use it. Not for a 2013 up application. So this is garbage. You're not going to use that. Okay? So, you're going to have to reuse your stock filter. Now, I prefer to go brand new. So everything is new going in, no issues. But you can reuse your filter depending how old it is. It's up to you. I'm sorry, this is the pre-filter sock. This, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not familiar with the components of the fuel filter assembly, like I said, this is the fuel pressure relief valve. And this is the actual fuel filter. You do not have an external changeable fuel filter. It's kind of one and done. You know, you really kind of change this whole thing if it ever gets clogged up. And the mileage, I'm not really sure what it's recommended to change at. So anyway, so we're going to be modifying this. We're going to have to separate this piece from this piece. Really easy. Okay. What we're going to do first, I like this little handy scroll saw. You're going to be sawing like right along the edge of right here, right, to get it maximum. And I like to go over a kind of a corner here. Just be careful not to saw through this part of the sock. So you just got to be mindful of both sides there too. So kind of bend it down. It does have some bendability there. Really easy. Now, because we got these little nipples right here, I'm cutting those little things off. Oop, almost got me in the eye. There we go. Get me a little razors. It's always good to have some straight edges available. Just to kind of clean it up a bit. Get rid of that loose slag. So, you know, you obviously don't want stuff hanging out in your fuel pump, in your fuel tank. Little pieces of plastic. Clean that up. Boom, that's done. Actually, no, I take that back. It is not done. There's something else we're gonna have to do to that, and it's not in the instructions. I figured that out. So here, what I want to do is, because You don't technically have to do this. The instruction, this is another thing the instruction doesn't say, but I'm cutting off a little bit of distance on here. I want to keep some distance from the existing piece. So what I'm doing is, I'm actually have it right here. This is one that I did off the old one. And actually, see how much I cut off on that versus that? I just did a little bit. Actually, I went down this side. It's easier from the back side. That's what she said, right? Maybe not. Let's get started. There we go. This scroll saw actually is a really easy way to do it, okay, guys? So I'll keep everything clean here. So, as with the other thing, the other piece, you have some little pieces that are kind of poking up. Just trim those out, just for so I'm not cutting into anything. Take your, just try to get rid of some of this slag. You could use a razor to do what I did too, probably. You might, more than one way to skin the cat. All right, so you're done with this. This can technically go back onto here. You can put this, boom, you're good. That's basically you're retaining your fuel pressure relief valve in there. Now there's going to be modification we're going to have to do to this, but I'm going to hold off and take a pause for a second. I had to go run an errand, and I will be back shortly. Thank you. All right, where were we? All right, we were at the point where we had just gotten done separating the pressure relief valve retainer clip from the filter sock and getting that kind of cleaned up a little bit. So there's a couple things we can do here, but I'm going to address this thing first. So if you grab the pump and you set it in here, now this is also not in the instructions, but it's something that I noticed when I was messing with the older one. If you set this inside here, it sits, that goes in there or there, but it sits at an angle. So what's going on is, see that half moon shape right there? It's just not lined up perfectly so that it sits kind of, I don't know if you can see that. The other pump doesn't have that at the bottom. So this ridge sits flush with the body, where that hole goes in this little, there, see, boom, sits flush with that. It's straight. That makes sense. But it's not the case here. So what we're going to have to do here is, if you noticed this, if you look at this thing, this moon shape is kind of raised a little bit above some of these other supporting structures. What you got to do is, so that this thing sits flush, and I'll show you on the, you got to grind this, flatten this down. Kind of got to be delicate with it, but it can be done, and I'll show you what I'm talking about on the, so this is the one I practiced on, right? If you look at it, the little raised portion is sanded down. I don't know if you can kind of tell. And this pump sits all the way down in there, and it sits flush. Straight perpendicular. So that's what we're going to do right now. And to do that, you can use whatever tool is necessary. I found a combination of tools, a Dremel, with a little flapper wheel on there, along with A little file. You can do a file, you know, it's just kind of slow going with the file. So, but you can get it done. I'm plugging in my, I'm just trying to mount my phone here so I can see it. Alrighty. Junk out of the way. Oh, so that we don't get any plastic particles in there, I'm gonna just plug that hole up just because I'm like that. Let me see here. Here, it's just some rubber, like silicone powder coating plugs that I had laying around. If you guys see my other videos about powder coating, post powder coating prep. There we go. I don't know, that might not work because I just thought about that. That might get in the way. I'm gonna. All right, hold on a second. Let's try this. Let's try something here. I might have cut it a little too short. Not to worry, I got plenty more though if I need them. Okay. All right. So, kind of try to plug that hole up so no little plastic pieces get inside there and getting sucked up into the pump later. All right, so you're gonna hear some noise, and then you're gonna see me doing some grinding. Hopefully I can get this to look like that. I was really happy with this one right here, how this turned out, but I just wish the sock filter would have been better. I'm just being really careful, you know, just doing a little bit at a time. I don't want to. This little bottom piece is gonna. There's a couple of things you're gonna have to trim off this thing, so get this thing to fit right. This flapper wheel just gets off a lot of the big parts. We're gonna go through with a file and really clean it up. This is just, all right. It's gonna have to be, it's gonna be tedious, that's all. I might need to. Now, don't be scared of making these modifications. It's all in the name of racing, right? All in the name of racing. That's what you tell yourself, all the money you spend. Make yourself feel better about all that money you're spending, right? At least I do. Now you'll kind of see when the ridge goes down enough, it'll start going flush with the other supporting structures that are there. Like with everything else on this thing, you gotta take it slow, be easy. Do a little bit at a time. It's not really hard, it's just tedious. It's gonna take time. It's gonna take time to just be patient. I'm going to try to avoid, obviously, sanding anything else, if you can. I can look at the profile and it's kind of high over here. The outside of the moon. Outside of the moon is kind of high here. Pretty good. I'm happy with it. Unplug this here. I have my air. Compressed air. Now, like I was saying before, take this, actually, a little bit easier, this. Sharp like a little razor. This is X-Acto knife. This comes in handy for a bunch of like little things here and there, and just kind of get rid of all that little slag that doesn't end up in the pump, or you just clean it up the rough edges. A little jeweler's file will work. A little emery cloth or something. There really isn't much on here. You can kind of almost rub it off with your hands too. Okay, just a little bit here, I see here. Okay. Now, this isn't the only modification you're going to have to do. Now the instructions, there you go, see? It's seated all the way down in there. And it's sitting straight up and down. So, the instructions allude to when you install it, kind of have to like twist it a little bit. Problem is, the way this thing is clocked from this is just so slightly different. So slightly different. So that when you reinstall this to the bottom here, these clips, these three, they kind of don't really line up all the way. Not very good, at least in my experience. So what you have to do is, you see that's trim just a tiny little bit off all three right here. Okay. Easy way to do it is to make sure, okay. So this is the side. I like using the razor for this one. Just kind of go down. Actually, you can do it like this. Something that holds it. Just shave off a little bit at a time. Yes, you have to do a lot to this to make it work, unfortunately. But it'll be worth it in the end. Actually, you know what? Let me grab the other one. Might cut a little bit better. Actually, I like this little, should put a new blade on here. It's probably not that sharp anymore. I know that you're probably not seeing much right now. I don't know what the camera's looking like. Now this one is you got to do all three. Hold on here. This one, I don't see it. This one It's a little weird. These clipped straight here and straight like that. This one isn't like this, it's like this, if that makes any sense. Or I'm sorry, if you look at the way these lines are, it's almost like this instead of like that. So you got to trim the line right here at this weird like this. I feel blood being spilled here in my future. I don't remember being this much of a pain in the ass. Sorry. Okay, getting close. Okay, let's see if this one works. Sometimes it's trial and error. Probably should have left that plug in there, huh, ladies and gentlemen? I think we're fine. All right, so we won't be able to try that just yet. We got one more modification to make to this thing. Now, this is where the instructions does say what to do here. One of the things they're telling you to do is basically you gotta, here, let me show you. So inside the filter housing, there is like a ridge. And you can kind of see it. Here, let me. Yeah. Right where the tip of the razor blade is at. I don't know if you can see it. What happens there is the body of this pump, that ridge hits right here. And it's a particular distance from there to there. Problem is, if you look at this flat area, which is what you got to match with this, the fat part of the body, the metal part here, goes about half an inch or so higher, maybe a little bit shorter. So really, that's as far up as you got to trim, right? That's the amount that we're talking about trimming. So the book says you can, or the instructions say use a Dremel. Dremel, man, that'll take forever, and it kind of sucks because you won't get it fully round. Or probably the better tool that they're telling you to use is the 38mm hole saw. I don't have one, but I found something that worked pretty good for me. So actually, the hole saw would probably work better, 38mm. But 38mm is, or 1.5 inches, actually 38.1mm. I happen to have a hole saw, Forstner bit, I think. No, this isn't a Forstner bit, sorry. It is a wood, another, I don't know what they call this. I'm sorry, I'm not a woodworker. But this actually worked really, really well. But you got to be careful with it. So, what you're going to do is, you're going to go into here. Actually, this is the other place where you want to, where the pump output goes up in there. You want to plug that up. And I got a plug for that. trying to minimize the amount of rubber and plastic and stuff that might get inside or through the pump, cause any blockages or jams or anything. So what you're going to do is you're going to drill, but you're going to be kind of careful with it. You're going to go very slow, and you're not going to be very rigid. You're going to let the drill find the center, and it does a pretty decent job of doing it. Hole saw would be better, ladies and gentlemen, but I don't have one. So this is going to be trial and error. I hope I don't make myself a liar here. It worked out so well on the last one. It actually didn't shake that much. Now, keep in mind that pump is out of a 2013 Sport. Now they're the same. There's slightly different part numbers. Let's see something here real quick. Putting it in backwards, I know. Okay. Trial and error, ladies and gentlemen. Be careful. Time to adjust fire, gentlemen. That's not working out. It worked so much better on that other one. Must be slightly different. Something's going on slightly different. But it was literally like a 1-minute job on the last one. Went right like butter. But we're making progress. Making progress. Better to go slow, baby steps, than yeah, good thing you put that stopper in there. I'm playing with this now. And you guys are gonna like be grimacing while in the video, because I'm grimacing. a mess here. Okay. I don't like that. Kind of just jamming it down in there and spinning it really slow. Okay. Alrighty. Ay, ay, ay. Making a mess. This is one of those instances where it's kind of like you don't want to see how the sausage is made. Because it can be disheartening. All right. All right, now where were we? Battery ran dead again. My batteries are kind of old. Anyway, I think we got this. I think we're good. We got the hole drilled out in there, sized out. When it gets up in there, it'll, at least the way I got it, it'll fit a little bit snug in there. Now, I don't know how it's going to work if you use a hole saw. I would suggest using that. Maybe less hassle. But we're going to go ahead and install this pump now. And what I'm going to do is put some lube on these O-rings here. Oh, forgot to take out that plug. Push this in. All the way, there you go. And then the filter sock. Actually, probably would have been better to install this. Testing out whether it's in there far enough. Okay. Let's see here. All right, John. Push this back out here. Yeah. Okay. Told you that. Damn it. Yeah, they didn't trim enough off this thing. Trial and error, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, sausage being made. You can see that. That one clip does not want to go in. Boom, got it. Okay. Cool. Now, if you look down in there, if you can tell that electrical connector is just a little bit cattywampus from the shape of that. That's how much off it is. That's why you need to trim those little 3 little tabs so that it can, because it's got to sit like kind of weird like that. So, FYI. All right. Well, that pump is in. Now we're going to do the wiring. Pause for that.